Hi guys, this is Vo. So if you're Black Friday is almost here, and so if you're thinking of picking up a tablet, maybe for comic book reading, I just want to point out a few things. So I picked up the Microsoft Surface Pro 7, the latest model. This is the i5 or the i3 chip, the entry model. And as you can see, the side is pretty thick, but still pretty thin. You can use that as a tablet. I don't recommend it as a tablet. This is really a work machine. And then last year, I picked up the iPad 12.9 screen, which is, as you can see, it's a little larger than the Surface Pro. The color is a lot better on the iPad Pro. And it's super thin if you just use it as just for a tablet. You are going to get a case for this, so you're going to add weight to it. So if you look at a regular comic book size for comparison, it is the comic book is always going to be a little bit better, a little bigger, and the HD is going to look so much better on a printed page. I have to say though, the new Wonder Woman reprint, I'm not too fond of the colors. I think that they made it brighter from the original comic book, in my opinion anyway. So that's for comic book reading. Now if you get the iPad route, you can get Comixology, which is like probably the only legal way of reading comics. There's just actually other apps and stuff. The thing is, if you go with the Surface Pro, there is no Comixology app, and the reason why is Comixology just stopped developing the app for the Windows Store, and they don't say it, but the reason why is I believe it's because of piracy, because you can really if you get it on a Windows machine, there's a lot more freedom, and a lot of people can hack it and I guess just download and distribute their content that they bought. But the thing is, if you really wanted to, you can pirate almost anything really. So I don't think, personally to me, it's not justifiable. I do like Comixology. That's how I read all my comics. But if they don't offer it for the Surface Pro, I may have to look at alternative, which is kind of annoying. Now you saw it Comixology on the Surface Pro, and that's because I used the web version, and you can read your comics through the web, but that means you have to be constantly connected online. They do not offer offline reading, so that's just something to consider if you buy a tablet for comic book reading. Now, if you buy it for business reasons, for example, so between the two, I have to say, if you're looking for fun and games and just watching movies, because this tablet will do it all. You know, you have Voodoo, you have the Apple Store, and comic book stuff. I mean, it's basically if you want to read magazine, this is great. The Surface Pro is, like I said, more business oriented. So if you're looking for movie watching, it can do it. It does have a tablet mode, but I primarily use this as a desktop. And that's where the key two differences is. If you want productivity, go with the Surface Pro. The way Surface Pro handles filing system and everything, if you use Windows, you're familiar with that system. So guys, if you're buying the tablet for drawing between the Surface Pro and the iPad, I'm going to say go with the iPad. Although I do have to tell you that I prefer the Surface Pro just because of the versatility it offers. But I'll show you an example. So we got the Microsoft Surface Pen, and They have whiteboard built in, which you can use, but you probably, if you're a drawing enthusiast, you may want to just download a dedicated drawing software. You can get Photoshop, you can get Critter. Uh, you know, on the iPad, you have a variety of software such as Procreate, which is probably the only one I'm going to recommend. All right, so we can launch Critter just to show you what that is like. Now, this is a free software for Windows. You can pay for a like a Microsoft Store or Steam version, and I'm going to start a new file here. The brightness is not that good because I think I'm running a battery, and Windows is trying to. Let's see the brightness. Windows is actually trying to conserve a little battery, so the screen is not as bright as I would like. All right, so we'll just do a quick doodle. Oh, actually, I gotta pick my pen. Okay, let's try it now. Change the capacitor. So here's just a quick doodle. Now, a lot of people who draw with the Surface Pro, they're gonna tell you there's line jitter, and it is there. And I'm gonna say that this is the fault of the software that Microsoft, the way the pin input works. But the trade-off is, I believe the battery life with one battery in here would last about a year. So that's basically, I think, the trade-off, because it's not. I don't know. There's no Bluetooth. I don't. Well, there is Bluetooth in there, but this jitter thing, it's kind of like annoys a lot of artists, and it's for drawing straight lines. I think if you do it fast enough, you can get away with it. But if you're slow, you can start seeing the line, the way Microsoft tries to map the lines. All right, that is the Surface Pro with the drawing tools. Now, this is the iPad. Anyway, the software I use is Procreate. We can start a new canvas, and we'll do the same thing. We'll just do pick your. You got different types of. Let's do Studio Pen. And the same thing, here's the size, or the opacity, the size of the brush. So same thing we'll do. So yeah, it's a lot, as far as line, it's pretty straight, and it's almost a real-time one-on-one. It is a real, I don't know, like, they say it's not real-time, but I think it's real-time. Look, I mean, how fast that is. So yeah, drawn on the iPad, definitely recommend it. Now I do have the 12.9-inch version, so if you compare prices, it is a lot more expensive. I believe it starts off at about like $900 or $800, and then for the Surface Pro, if it's not on sale, I think it's about 600. So it's or 700. So it's there is a price difference. Yeah, you do get more with the Surface Pro than the iPad. The iPad and Apple products, you know, you're gonna pay kind of like a tax, almost like an Apple tax that basically, you know, it's a luxury tax. The thing with the Apple Pencil is that I never have this charge. It's very annoying, and the cap, you do lose the cap, so I have it permanently stapled on there, so I don't lose the cap. I have lost this pen before. I found it eventually, but I have lost the pen before, so just to let you know, losing it is easily done because of there's no way to put it on there. They have solved this with the new generation of Apple iPad and the Pencil 2.0. And the Pencil 2.0 has a magnet that you can stick to the side of the iPad. But the first generation Pencil, it's basically, you're going to lose it. But anyway, for drawing, get the iPad Pro. Reading comics, iPad Pro. All right. Okay, guys. So this is where the Surface Pro 7 actually outshined the iPad. Is that you can use it as a full-fledged desktop computer, and so if you're using it as a notebook, you're taking it on the go, you're doing work, and if you go home, you want to just continue working on a larger screen, you can get the Surface Pro dock, which will connect to bigger monitor. It does have USB-C, which will also do the same thing if you get the right dongle for it. And then you have a keyboard hooked up, you got your mouse ready, you're ready to rock on the desktop, and I have some games I've installed. Not all games are going to run well on this Surface Pro 7, but older games will run pretty well, or at least able to play. So Diablo works really well, Torchlight is okay. A lot of these will work, but they're older games. Keep that in mind. It's not a gaming laptop. You can spend a lot more money to get a gaming laptop. Now, I have two keyboards hooked up here. I have the Corsair K70 and a Cooler Master like SK650. I'm going to say do not buy the Corsair because it has some power management issue. When you disconnect it from the Surface Pro, it continues to light up still. You cannot turn off this light for some reason. So the only way to do that is you have to disconnect it from the dock, which I don't want to do. The Cooler Master one is great. It lights up, and when you disconnect it, it turns off completely. There's no power going to the Cooler Master. You can change it to rainbow and all that good stuff. It does do full RGB lighting. Corsair does the same thing, but you have to install their software, and when you install their software, it's the worst software in the world, so I never install the Corsair software. And anyway, so basically it turns red. I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to disconnect it from the Surface Pro here. Okay, disconnect. Everything powers off, right? This powers off, but look, it turns back on. I don't know how to turn it off, and it annoys me so much I ended up buying like another keyboard, which is the Cooler Master keyboard. And I like this keyboard a lot, actually. It's pretty good. You can get this for 80 bucks. This is normally like $100, but you can get it on because of Black Friday. You can probably find a cheap version of it. Okay, so yeah, we'll plug it back in, and I'm going to show you how fast Windows, look at that, pops right back up.